Okay, so picture this. It's 1950s America,
Hmm.
and like everyone and their neighbor is going bonkers over flying saucers.
Right, right,
Like it's Cold War paranoia,
right.
it's sci-fi comics, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
But what we're diving into today,
Mm.
it isn't some like, pulpy headline.
No.
This is one of the earliest filmed UFO sightings ever.
Absolutely.
The Mariana incident. Have you heard of this?
Oh, absolutely. It's an intriguing one.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
So,
And what's so fascinating about this particular incident is that, it's this almost like stereotypical setting.
oh yeah.
Like it's a baseball game in
Right.
Great Falls, Montana.
Right.
But then we have this evidence, this piece of evidence
Okay.
that's much, much harder to just dismiss
Yeah.
than your, average run-of-the-mill, UFO story.
Your average UFO story, right. It's not some blurry photograph.
Things
This
like
is
it.
actual moving footage.
It is.
And it all starts with this totally average guy,
Right.
Nick Mariana,
Mhm.
and he's a manager of the Great Falls Electrics, which is a minor league team.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine?
What?
You're out there, you're prepping for a game,
Right.
and suddenly something totally wild is going down up in the sky.
Yeah. I mean, and this is where the context
Yeah.
really, really kind of comes in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we're talking post-World War II.
Mm-hmm.
The Red Scare.
Yeah.
Like, that is in full swing. People are on edge.
Absolutely.
They're looking to the skies with this mix of, like, I would say wonder,
Right.
but also, like, a very real fear.
Sure.
So when something, like, unexplainable pops up,
Oh, yeah.
it hits differently, right,
Yeah.
than it might today.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like they were almost primed to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an element of that, I think, for sure.
So tell me about what people actually saw that day. Like, what made this so remarkable?
Well, when you think about a lot of the old UFO sightings,
Yeah.
what comes to mind? Grainy photos, shaky eyewitness accounts.
Right, exactly.
This is different.
Okay.
This is different. So, we've got two bright, silvery objects.
Okay.
They're estimated to be around 50 feet wide.
50 feet wide.
Yeah, think about a bowling lane.
Okay.
That's how wide we're talking.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. And they are cruising across the sky at speeds that have been reported anywhere between 200 to 400 miles per hour.
Whoa. That's moving.
That's booking it.
That's moving. No wonder people were, freaking out.
Yeah, I'd be a little freaked out too.
Yeah. But here's, I think, where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Because Nick Mariana,
Right.
our baseball manager,
Right.
turned accidental UFO documentarian.
Yes, exactly.
He just happened to have a 16mm camera on him.
This is key.
Right.
This is key. This is why this incident still has legs.
Okay.
Like all these years later. Because, seeing something strange,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Sure.
But having it captured on film,
Right.
that just lends it this air of credibility.
Totally.
That's very, very difficult to shake,
Yeah.
even for hardcore skeptics.
Yeah, and even today, we put so much stock in, like, videos and pictures and stuff.
Exactly.
And back then, with film being, like, the main visual medium,
Right.
that must felt even more concrete.
Absolutely.
Like, well, the camera doesn't lie.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The camera doesn't lie. It's that tangible proof,
Right.
that moving image. It takes the Mariana incident from just a simple anecdote
Right.
and it elevates it to a piece of evidence
Wow.
that researchers are still grappling with
That's wild.
to this day.
Okay, so we've got the scene.
Yeah.
We've got the sighting.
Yeah.
We've got the film. This feels like the setup to some awesome mystery movie.
It really does. It does.
Yeah.
Wow. So what happens next?
Well, so as you can imagine,
Yeah.
right, this film, it gets sent straight to the authorities,
Okay.
specifically the Air Force
Okay.
at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Huge. Yeah. Big place.
And you'd think they'd be all over this, right?
Oh, totally.
Potential national security threat.
I mean, it's 1950. Come on, of course.
Strange objects in the sky.
Yeah.
Well, buckle up, because their initial response,
Yeah.
a little surprising.
Okay.
They look at the footage.
Okay.
Their official conclusion,
that?
reflections from F-94 jets.
Reflections.
Case closed.
Wait, seriously, they just brush it off that easy?
That's what they said.
Reflections, come on.
Well, it might sound wild,
Yeah.
but remember what we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The Air Force in 1950? they're not exactly embracing this whole UFO thing.
Okay, that's fair. No, they're a little more concerned with very earthly threats.
Sure.
And, this whole flying saucer craze is seen as, well, a bit of a distraction.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe their priorities were a little different back then.
A little bit, yeah.
But something tells me this isn't the end of the story.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. This can't be it.
You'd be absolutely right to think that.
Okay.
Because here's where the plot thickens a little bit.
Okay.
And we start getting into the what ifs and the hold-ons that make this case so interesting.
Okay.
Because remember those missing frames we talked about?
Yeah. There was something weird about the film itself.
Right.
Right. Tell me more about that.
So when Mariana gets his film back from the Air Force, he claims that some pretty crucial frames are missing.
Really?
Specifically, he says the clearest footage, like the money shots.
Right.
That supposedly showed these objects as these rotating discs. Now, whether or not this was intentional, some kind of cover-up, or just, a clerical error in the endless filing cabinets of the government.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
Right.
But it adds this whole other layer to this.
Okay, yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Right.
This is where it gets good.
It does.
We've got this missing footage.
Yeah.
A dismissive Air Force. It's like something straight out of the X-Files.
A little bit, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So what does this mean then? What does this mean for how the incident was investigated from that point on?
Well, it definitely fuels the fire.
Okay.
For a lot of the people who believed that something, extraterrestrial was going on, it feeds into this whole narrative of secrecy and cover-ups that honestly, we still see today.
Yeah.
Surrounding this topic. And
how could it not?
Right.
You send a film to the Air Force.
Yeah.
They say it's nothing.
Right.
But then key parts of it are missing when you get it back.
Right.
It's suspicious. I don't care who you are.
A little bit, yeah. And this is where public opinion starts to shift, I think, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People are paying attention.
Right.
They're starting to wonder, what really is going on up there?
Yeah.
And are we being told the whole story?
Right. Totally.
And I think that's understandable.
Yeah, for sure.
To have those questions.
For sure.
And, this is where things take another, I think, pretty fascinating turn.
Okay.
Because despite that initial, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
The Air Force actually revisits the Mariana film.
Really?
In 1952.
Okay, so they're taking it seriously. What happened? What changed their minds?
Well, I think public pressure definitely played a role, right? Remember UFO fever? It's in full swing.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
It is everywhere. And, the Mariana incident, it's becoming this thing.
Right. It's hard to ignore.
It's harder and harder to just ignore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And plus, I think internally within the government, there's this growing concern about, what if this is, a real thing?
Right, a real threat.
A real national security threat.
Right.
They couldn't just keep sweeping all this stuff under the rug.
Right, totally. So, second time around, what do they find?
Right.
That's the official word on the footage. Did they come around and say, yep, aliens?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
But they did concede that it wasn't birds, it wasn't balloons, it wasn't meteors.
Okay.
But they'd said originally.
So they're admitting they were wrong. That's got to count for something, right?
It does. But they still don't know what it is.
Okay, so even more confusing, maybe.
Well, this is where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay.
Because it's around this time that the Robertson panel is convened. So if you don't know, the Robertson panel.
Yeah, refresh us.
It was this group of scientists, experts.
Okay.
Tasked with reviewing all these UFO reports.
Right.
For the government.
Sure.
Big deal.
Yeah.
And their conclusion...
Don't tell me, let me guess. Reflection.
Yeah. Reflection.
You're kidding me.
Yep.
So even with a second look, even with all these experts, it's still reflections.
The panel stuck with the whole reflection theory, said it was just those F-94 jets.
I don't know, that seems hard to believe.
Right, what was the motivation there?
Yeah.
Were they feeling the pressure to, not cause a panic?
Yeah.
Was there, more to the story?
Right, exactly. It's like they had to explain it away, whatever it took.
Yeah, and that's, I think a big part of what makes this whole thing so interesting, It just raises more questions than it answers. And just when you think, okay, it can't get any weirder,
right,
it does.
Okay.
Because we haven't even talked about the analysis done by Robert M.L. Baker Jr.
Okay, now we're talking, this is new. Who's that?
So Baker, he was this well-respected scientist. Okay.
working for the Douglas Aircraft Company.
Huge. Okay.
And get this, he spends 18 months
Go away.
Analyzing the Mariana film.
18 months?
18 months.
On this. Okay.
This is his life.
Wow. That's commitment.
It is.
Okay.
And after all that time, after going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, he concludes that the whole reflection thing, it was quite strained.
Quite strained. That's like putting it mildly.
Right.
So even he couldn't make it work. That's huge.
And what's really interesting is he never really offered an alternative explanation. He just couldn't make it fit. The movement, what it looked like, didn't match anything he knew.
Okay, so we've got the missing footage, a dismissive Air Force, and now this expert analysis that totally contradicts everything they're saying.
Right.
It's like a giant puzzle.
It is.
Where every answer just leads to more questions.
Totally. And the puzzle pieces keep coming.
Okay, lay it on me.
Because now we've got the Condon Report. The Condon Report. Now that's a name that carries weight. I mean, wasn't that supposed to be like the UFO study?
It was supposed to be the final word, yeah. Like government-funded, University of Colorado, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Meant to like settle the debate once and for all. Yeah. Even they couldn't agree on the Mariana film.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
All those scientists, all that research, and they're still stumped.
It really just shows you, like, even when we try to be objective, our own interpretations can totally shape how we see things.
Especially with something like UFOs.
Especially with UFOs. And to make things even more interesting, the Condon Report. They get 2 different investigators.
Okay, so 2 different takes then, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
2 different perspectives. On one hand, you've got Roy Craig.
Okay.
Total skeptic.
Okay, so he's coming in like, prove it.
Yeah, basically. He even thought, like, maybe Mariana was exaggerating for publicity.
Wow, okay. Well, I guess you gotta admire the skepticism.
Yeah.
Right, so that's one side. What's the other side of this? Okay, so we've got the skeptic in one corner. Who's the other corner? Give me the counterpoint.
In the other corner, you've got David Saunders.
Okay.
And he's going into this with a much more open mind.
Right.
And, you know, what's interesting is, for Saunders, the Mariana film, kind of a turning point for him.
Wow.
He found it to be, like, really compelling. Like, he actually cites it as the sighting that convinced him that there's something to this whole UFO thing.
So one piece of film, and this scientist is like, okay, I'm convinced.
That's what he's saying. It really is fascinating.
It's like the Mariana incident. It's like a Rorschach test.
Yeah.
For UFO beliefs.
It is. It totally is. It shows how we see things.
Totally.
Especially with something, you know, as unknown as this.
For sure.
And, you know, we've got one more perspective.
Okay.
We've got to bring in...
Lay it on me.
William Hartman.
Oh, yeah. He was part of the Condon Report team, too.
He was. And he's got this, this nuanced take. Like, he says he finds it hard to believe that these are just airplanes.
Okay.
But he also can't rule it out.
So even he's on the fence a little bit. Everyone thinks it's strange.
Right.
No one can agree on what it is.
And that's the thing about this whole thing. It's the mystery of it.
Totally.
People are still debating it.
I believe it.
Still analyzing the footage.
Yeah.
Trying to make sense of it.
I love it. And you know the best part?
What's that?
You can watch the film yourself.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the U.S. National Archives.
It's right there. Anyone listening can be their own investigator.
That's so cool. It's like 1950, but we're still talking about it.
It's timeless in a way, isn't it?
Totally.
And it's not just that. Great Falls, it's like kind of a UFO hotspot now.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Over 100 sightings since then. They even named their baseball team.
No way.
The Voyagers after it.
Yeah. You've got to be kidding me. Their baseball team. They really went for it.
It's part of who they are now. And it just, you know, it speaks to something.
Okay.
These events, whether it's aliens or not,
right?
We love the unknown.
We do. We're drawn to it.
Totally.
It makes you think, what if you were Nick Mariana? Right.
Right.
Camera in hand. Would you even point it?
That's the question.
Did you just be like, nah, it's nothing? Would we be talking about this?
It really makes you wonder, you know?
It does. It really does. Well, there you have it.
There you have it.
The Mariana UFO incident. Grainy footage. Government secrecy.
The whole 9 yards.
And we still don't know.
Nope.
Maybe that's kind of the point.
Maybe it is.
Sometimes the best mysteries are the ones we can't solve.